Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, our guest is Lucas Root. Lucas is an accomplished speaker, entrepreneur, author, business success mentor, and founder of SGIC Consulting, which works with clients to build a high-performance strategy and implement that strategy across their businesses to achieve the maximum growth potential possible. With over 19 years of success across banking, technology, investments, health and wellness, athletics and interactive media, gaming, Lucas helps identify roadblocks to success and where his clients could be heading toward failure. He specializes in speaking to entrepreneurs and business owners on getting their strategy on track for success and massive growth. So without further delay, sit back, plug your earphones in, and let's jump right into this amazing conversation with Lucas. Welcome, Lucas.
Thank you so much for having me, Annie.
You're welcome. So, Lucas, even though we read, your formal bio to get an idea of the guest that we're interviewing, we always like to give the guests an opportunity to just kind of share with us in their own words about their journey and basically how they got to where they are today. So could you share that with us, please?
Yes, of course. So I did what I thought, what the normal person's supposed to do. I went to college. I got a good degree. And then as I was getting out of college, and this is 2 decades ago at this point, as I was getting out of college, I decided that I didn't want to go pursue. I got a degree in mechanical engineering and physics, and I decided I didn't want to go wear a lab coat. And obviously, there are plenty of people that are engineers or physicists that don't. But, that was the picture I had in my mind. And so I went to Wall Street instead. Mm-hmm. And the critical thinking component of a science and mathematics-based degree made it easy for me to move into the projects world on Wall Street, which very quickly turned into the mergers and acquisitions execution groups, right? So that's the team that puts together businesses on a merger, right? Mm-hmm. And so I spent more than 15 years, 17 actually, putting together businesses on the backside of a merger. And over the course of that time, I got really good at understanding what makes successful businesses work and what creates the opportunity for somebody else to, gobble you up, which is what a merger is, right? Mm-hmm. It's one successful company grabbing another company that maybe is less successful. And there are significant opportunities for the bigger company to turn the smaller company into something great, mm-hmm. or at least they think. So after 17 years, I figured I knew a thing or two, and I decided to launch out into the world and share the thing or two that I knew. And the truth is now, 6 years after launching my consulting business, I can tell you with absolute certainty, the learning really started after I left Wall Street. I did know a thing or two, but really only a thing or two. But the journey has been incredible. Learning from amazing, incredibly smart, really successful business leaders on Wall Street set me up for the learning that I was going to do afterwards, the learning that I've done since leaving as a consultant, as a business coach, and as a mentor. Mm-hmm. And I continue to learn with smart, talented, capable, hardworking, successful business leaders. And I'm delighted to say that among my clients is the Pokemon Company, which is the largest and longest relationship that I've had as a consultant. So I've been with them since the beginning, 6 years now.
Very nice.
And I have 13 other companies of various size, ranging from, a few $100,000 in annual revenue to tens of millions. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there's the Pokemon Company, which is much, much larger than any of the rest.
Mm-hmm. Can imagine.
And my learning, again, the real learning started after I left Wall Street. Like when I started working with the Pokemon Company, when I started working with smaller businesses, I've loved every step of it. And I've come to experience the market in a very different way than what I expected.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you work with businesses and strategy, and Just in terms of listening to you speak just now, in terms of how you describe the companies, you describe them based on the amount of revenue that they were earning. So where our podcast is navigating the customer experience, and of course people listen to this podcast primarily to figure out what are some new innovative, different ways that they can utilize to ensure that they're retaining their existing customers as well as attracting new customers, but actually getting customers who will remain loyal to them, because I think that's what every business ideally aims for, loyal customers who will spread great things about their business. So based on your experience as a consultant in the last 6 years working with these different range of companies, what are some of the key things that you have, coached them on as it relates to strategy to ensure that they are, increasing their earning potential, retaining their customers, having raving fans who will spread good news about their business, which will help them to save less money on marketing and advertising because their customers are the ones who will be spreading that, news about them. What's been your experience there?
I love that. I love the whole premise of this show because I think people spend far too little time thinking about their customer experience. And you're 100% right. Like, that's the place people should be focused. One of the reasons that I really enjoy the Pokemon Company is because of how focused they are on their brand and on their customer, who their customer is, how they interact with their customer, what the customer wants out of the brand. One of my partners inside the Pokemon Company, his sort of most exciting story to tell on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is when he gets a customer service call of somebody who's dissatisfied, and he can turn that person into potentially a raving fan. He can take that unhappy customer experience, which doesn't happen very often, of course, and turn it into somebody who's absolutely delighted. So number one, the first piece of the answer to your question is make sure that your customer service, right? So when people call in, make sure that your customer service is absolutely top of the line. I started out with an answer from the Pokemon Company, but my smallest client is a few $100,000 in annual revenue. And they told me a story last week, where a potential sale called in and they answered the phone. And the first thing out of this guy's mouth was, "You're already a step ahead because you answered the phone." Now, I don't know about you, but if somebody is calling me to buy from me personally, my priority is to make sure that I answer the phone. Like, if that was his response, that tells me that other people in that area, in that industry, were not answering the phone. He was being sent to voicemail. Why would you send a person who's ready to buy from you now to voicemail? Like, why would you do that? So step one is make sure that you give your customers who are reaching out to you the best possible experience they can possibly have every single time. So it doesn't matter where they're reaching out to you, chat, email, calling into your customer service, walking into your storefront. I realize that the industry is pushing harder and harder to have everybody move into automated response scenarios. So your emails are automated, your Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter responses are automated. So if somebody reaches out to you, they get an automated response. And I understand why, because in general, the customer service industry believes that me, the customer, wants an answer fast. But the truth is that's not actually what I want. I'm here to tell you, as both a consultant and a consumer, right? I'm both. I don't stop being a consumer as a consultant. I don't stop being a consumer as a business owner. As both a consultant and a consumer, what I want is the right answer. And I want the right answer with the minimum possible work from me to get there.
Effortless.
That's right. The easier it is for me to get to the right answer, the more satisfied I'm going to be. And let me tell you, I have yet to encounter an automated response line that gives me the answers that I want easily.
I agree. Totally agree with you.
Yeah. So number one, make sure that your customers are getting the best possible service they can. And if your automated responses are not the best possible service, then move away from that. counter to business strategy 101 in the world right now, and I understand that, but trust me, big companies, small companies, every single person who is moving into automated responses are risking their customer relationship. And the more that your customer believes that they themselves are unimportant to you, the more that you as a brand are going to become unimportant to them.
Yeah, agreed.
Number 2, and I put them in this order intentionally, focus on what your brand delivers and be great at that. And this again goes back to my experience working with the Pokemon company. If there is one thing that they do, and by the way, the Apple company does the same, right? If there's one thing that Pokemon and Apple do that makes them exceptional in the world, it's that they're willing to say no to all of the potential distractions so that they can stay super, super focused on what it is that their brand delivers.
Okay.
And trying and continuing to improve what it means to them to be great at that. Right? Now, most people think in the reverse, like be great at what the brand delivers and then deliver a great customer experience. I don't agree. I worked with some of the largest companies in the world. Be great at the customer experience first, and then be great at what your brand delivers.
Interesting, that theory. So because at the end of the day, a lot of times customers, well, I primarily believe your customers only reach out to you for 2 reasons. So they're either calling because they have a problem, and that could be a problem with an existing product or service that you deliver, or they're calling because they're trying to make a request. It could be a request for additional services or products because they're an existing customer, or it could be a new customer who is trying to make a new request for a new product or service. So other than that, they have, people aren't calling to say, hey, hey, Lucas, what's up? What are you doing? How's the sun going in your part of the world? They're calling because they have a genuine need. And I think all businesses go into business for a particular reason, to solve a problem. I mean, I'm sure you became a consultant because you saw businesses with having a need, and you could help them solve a problem based on your years of experience and your expertise in a particular area. The same for me. When I started this company, I, as a customer service trainer, customer service is very bad in Jamaica, and I really wanted to contribute to enhancing the quality of the experiences that we had. And I said, instead of complaining about it with everybody else, why not be a part of the solution? And help organizations, both public and private sector, to really enhance the quality of the experience that they've had. And I mean, since I've been in business 12 years now, I've seen great improvement. It's not where I want it to be, but it's definitely much better than where it was when I started. So I think we're all solving a problem. Every company, Pokemon is solving a problem. All of your other clients, their businesses are solving a problem. So if you're solving a problem, then how do you want that experience to be for those problems that you're solving for customers?
Yes, that's 100% right. And do you want to be memorable or forgettable?
True.
And if you're memorable, what do you want them to remember?
Because you could be memorable in a bad way.
Absolutely.
Which is not what you want.
I hope that's not what you want.
Indeed. All right. So we have a lot of listeners, Lucas, who are business owners and managers who feel they have great products and services, but they lack the constantly motivated human capital. If you were sitting across the table from one of those persons, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them to have a successful business?
That's a fun one. I think that I treat it like customer service, actually. I think that most businesses have lost track of helping their employees connect to their mission, connect to the values that the company is working through to deliver the service.
Right.
And the more that people inside the business, and remember, as a business owner, often you have employees, and often your employees are the ones that are interacting with your customers, right? So previously we talked about customer service. It's probably not you, the business owner, who's answering the phone. You probably have somebody else answering the phone. Now, to some degree, they'll do what you tell them to do, and that's cool, right? You tell them to smile while they're on the phone, and they will smile while they're on the phone. But at best, if they're in a situation where they're just doing what you tell them to do, at best, what they're going to do is somewhat mechanically execute your orders. And that's good. But if you want great, you have to be better than just someone who can execute your orders. If you want great, what you need is someone who can execute your orders the way that you would if you were in their shoes, if you were in their seat, if you were the one on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to create that is by creating a culture that is connected to the mission of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a lot of different ways to create a culture that's connected to the mission. For better or worse, when you start trying to do this, you're going to find that some of the people that are employees right now, and maybe even some of your better performers, might decide they don't want to be connected to the mission. And that might result in you making changes in your staff. And that's okay. Because the end result of this, and this isn't just coming from me, by the way, you can look up some of the top business strategy speakers in the world, like Gary Vee, who says the same thing. The culture that you create inside your company is the most important thing, and it doesn't matter what you have to do to create the right culture and protect that culture.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of creating the opportunity for motivation inside your company, for me, the most important thing you can do, the best thing that you can do, is to give your employees the opportunity to connect with the mission or the purpose of the company. Now, maybe you haven't thought about what the mission or the purpose of your company is. Now's a good time to start. Think about what it is that you're trying to bring to the world through service, right? Because if you have a product or a service, you're trying to serve a customer, you're trying to serve somebody's needs. You're not looking to just sell, you're looking to serve. So get focused on what it is that you're trying to bring to the world through service. Are you trying to bring smiles? Are you trying to bring ease of transportation or ease of communication? Are you trying to bring amazing meal experiences for your food service listeners, right? Are you trying to bring incredible experiences throughout the islands, right? For your travel listeners. So what is it that you're trying to bring to the world through service? Is it experiences? Is it satisfaction of needs? Is it satisfaction of desires? Like whatever that is, connect to that. And then spend time with your team helping them connect to that, right? Because their primary job is to serve that need, is to serve that customer through that need. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally. Thank you so much. Okay, Lucas, can you share with us what's the one online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely cannot live without in your business?
These days it's Zoom.
Boy, COVID has certainly changed our priorities, eh?
It really has. Before Zoom, I would have said OneNote, Microsoft OneNote, or for people who want to use a free version, both Google and who's the open source one? OpenOffice. They both have a tool that's similar to Microsoft OneNote.
Okay.
I use OneNote for everything. Truly, from keeping track of the things that I owe my employees on a daily basis, right? Mm-hmm. And yes, I say that intentionally. I work for my employees as much as they work for me. Mm-hmm. So keeping track of what I owe my employees, my sort of, let's call it my management dashboard. And by management, I mean managing myself. Mm-hmm. Keeping track of the different engagements, like working with you today, Yannick. That all happens in OneNote, and notes about what I'm doing and how I'm going to show up. Keys, thoughts about what I need to be thinking about while I'm going through this interview. My morning routine and the things that I do in the morning, the things that I need to accomplish throughout the day, week, month, all that happens in OneNote. And then even I'm writing articles in OneNote. This is actually true. I'm writing a book in OneNote. My previous book, which you can find on my website, I wrote that in OneNote first and then moved it into an editing tool. Like that one particularly was in Canva, but I wrote it in OneNote first. It's a simple incredibly powerful tool. And I think I use it fairly well. Once I turn my wife onto it, she actually has up-leveled and uses it even better than I do because she speaks to it. Like I do everything typing, she actually speaks to it. So she uses Microsoft Speak to Text in her OneNote. So she'll take voice notes while she's working. She'll, record things. Like it's OneNote's an amazing tool. And before Zoom changed the world, right, because of COVID, OneNote was my absolute number one go-to tool anywhere ever. And now that we have to use Zoom to do business, Zoom or Skype or GoToMeeting, whichever one we're on, Teams, Microsoft Teams, those are kind of ruling my day. But OneNote is still a very close second.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Could you also share with our audience maybe one or two books that have had the biggest impact on you? It could be a book that you read a very long time ago, or even one that you've read recently that has really had a great impact on you.
Yes. I'm a big fan of the Dalai Lama. One of the lesser well-known books that have come out of his writings is called the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which I think is just an incredibly wonderful book. And it's on my annual reading list. So I pick that up and touch up on it again at least once a year, every year.
All right. Okay. So we will have... Go ahead.
In addition to that, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, which I think that a fairly significant portion of what's in there was actually out of date before he even published it, right? So the notion of being able to automate your way into a 4-hour work week while you have a normal job, even when he published it, was already reasonably out of date. But what I think that people missed in the book, and I've read it several times now, that's really important is thinking about your life that way. Right? Thinking about what are the things that I can change the way that I do them so that they have a less significant impact on my time, on my life, on my energy. And or what are the things that I want to be impacted by and I can change the way that I do them so that they have more impact on me. Right? So things that people don't think about are things like a nap. I don't know about you, but I love naps. I love naps. And if I'm going to take a nap, I don't take a nap every day, but if I'm going to take a nap, and because I love them, I want that to be impactful. And people don't think about a nap in terms of it being impactful, but I like my naps. And when I take them, I really enjoy getting into it. I enjoy taking the nap. I enjoy the way I feel when I'm done with it. I want that to be an impactful experience. And the way that I think about everything I do all day long, including the nap, and the reason I brought that up is because I think most people try to minimize the impact of their naps on their day. And I disagree. If you're going to take a nap, maximize the impact it has. Again, enjoy it, get into it, savor it. The way that I think about that came out of reading the 4-Hour Workweek, because that's the way that he puts together his thought process. And he doesn't share it in that way, but that's what I took out of it, is think about the things that you're doing in terms of minimizing or maximizing the impact that they have so that the day feels the way you want it to feel.
Agreed. All right. So what's one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Either something that you're working on to develop yourself or your people.
Yeah. Is it okay if I have two things instead of one?
Sure, of course.
The first is I got involved with a not-for-profit at the beginning of the summer called the Jericho Center for Medical Diplomacy, which is focused on bringing truly cutting-edge, amazing medical technology to the Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and Jordan, because breast cancer right now is one of the biggest impact factors of cancer in that population. So I got involved in that because I'm deeply and passionately involved with creating and deepening the experience that I have and that women have around me in the world, and supporting women and becoming, a much more clean and balanced society with respect to the role that women choose to play.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
And so, that's just this little piece of what I'm trying to do to open the world up, right? If a woman dies of breast cancer, she doesn't have a choice anymore. Like, she can't play any role anymore. Like, that's done. And so bringing really cutting edge medical technology to the Palestinians, which is a population that has limited access to medical technology in general, and specifically for this stuff, is one of the things that I'm really excited about. And so we did a couple of galas over the summer to raise some money, and we're going to do a really big one in October or November to raise a lot of money and really start moving this forward in a big way. And that's something I'm very excited about.
All right.
And then the second piece, right? So that they're two totally separate things, but they're both like really exciting to me. Is I'm working with the Credibility Nation, which is a brand that's trying to bring credibility to humanity. And I've partnered in with them to do a 5-day challenge, which is in a week and a half. And for your listeners who want to hear more about this, you can find it on my socials. So in a week and a half, we're going to do a 5-day challenge where we train the joiners on how to show up in the world with credibility and how to deepen their connection inside themselves with credibility.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
So just to follow up on those two things that you're excited about, let's say our listeners want to tap into what you are doing and they're more intrigued, they want to get some more information. Where can they find you online?
Yeah. The best place to find me is through my website, lucasroot.com. My website doesn't have any links to either of those right now, which is a shortcoming on my part, and I'm going to have to fix that. And then through socials, I'm very active on Instagram, and my handle on Instagram is @LukeRoot, LuCroot.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So before we wrap our interviews up, we always like to ask our guests, do you have a quote or saying that during times of adversity or challenge, you'll tend to revert to this quote? It kind of helps to get you back on track or get you refocused. Do you have one of those?
I do. And it's not just during times of adversity. I keep this in the forefront of my mind more or less all of the time, as much as I can. It's in the midst of chaos lies brilliance. And that's, I actually don't know where it comes from. I've tried to look it up a few times. In the midst of chaos lies brilliance. And to me, what that means is that the more that things get challenging, the larger the opportunity for something amazing to happen.
Yeah. All right. So we will have that quote in the show notes of this episode. Well, thank you so much, Lucas, for taking time out of your very busy day to hop on this podcast with us and share all of these great insights as it relates to navigating the landscape of a customer's experience, understanding the importance of culture, getting everybody to buy in on what the mission and vision is of the company, so you'll be able to deliver on that brand value to your customers, where you can create raving fans who will want to come back and do business with you over and over again. We really appreciate you taking time to talk with us today.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So just want to remind our listeners, please feel free to hop on Facebook and join our private Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community, and feel free to follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant. We also have a new book available on Amazon, The ABCs of a Fantastic Customer Experience. It's available in ebook and paperback. So if you want to increase revenue in your organization, build a stronger service culture, and create employees or develop employees who are really mastering service delivery in your business, you need to grab a copy of this book. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.